Can't hear it, Jeff.
Hold on. I'm all the way up on volume. Lori, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't hear the video.
Okay, hold on just a second. We'll start something else.
Take two.
Take two. Sorry, we're still having technical. I lost everything. The only thing I have is that. Sorry, we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Are we still live?
Yeah, we're still live.
Why isn't it any better? Can you hear it now, Lori?
No.
Hold on just a second. You are getting.
Play it on your phone.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry, we're having technical difficulties, people. We were trying something that didn't work. I'm going to. That's where I'm going to do it next. I'm just not seeing the screen right now. I'm sorry. Hold on one second. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. This is Jeff Ling with the Asylum News Network. We're coming to you live. We just had some technical difficulties getting started, but we're back. And I wanted to share a little video with you guys. And I'm just going to play the audio of it since we had a technical failure. This is the beginning of the show, and then we'll start getting into stuff. And I appreciate the patience. I'm sorry about the delay. About different things. This has just been a rough night already.
Just don't understand. Maybe we do, son. Don't think you have a corner on all of virtue vision in the country, or that everybody else is fat and selfish and you're the first generation to come along that's felt dissatisfied. They'd all have, about different things, and most of them didn't have the same opportunity and freedoms that you do. Let's talk poverty. Most places in the world, that's not a problem. It's a way of life. And rights, they're liable to give you a blank stare because they may not know what you're talking about. The fact is, more people are living better right here than anywhere else ever before in history. So don't expect us to roll over and play dead when you say you're dissatisfied. It's not perfect, but it's a great deal better than when we grew up. 100 men standing in the street hoping for one job, selling apples on the street corner. That's one of the things we were dissatisfied about, and you don't see that much anymore.
You're taller, stronger, healthier, better educated, and you'll live longer than the last generation. And we don't think that's altogether bad. You've probably never seen a quarantine sign in your neighbor's door. Diphtheria, scarlet fever, whooping cough. Probably none of your classmates are crippled with polio. You don't see many mastoid scars anymore. We've done quite a bit of fighting all around the world. Whether you think it was moral or not, a lot of people are free today to make their own mistakes because of it. And that may just include you.
I don't know. Maybe part of it's the fact that you're in a hurry. You've grown up on instant orange juice. Flip a dial, instant entertainment. Dial 7 digits, instant communication. Turn a key, push a pedal, instant transportation. Flash a card, instant money. Shove in a problem, push a few buttons, instant answers. But some problems you can't get quick answers to, no matter how much you want them. We took a little boy into Central Receiving Hospital yesterday. He was 4 years old. He weighs 8.5 pounds. His parents just haven't bothered to feed him. Now give me a fast answer to that one. One that'll stop that from ever happening again. And if you can't settle that, well, what about the 55,000 Americans who will die on the highways this year? That's nearly 6 or 7 times the number that'll get killed in Vietnam. Why aren't you up in arms about that? Or is dying in a car somehow moral? Tell me how to wipe out prejudice. I'll settle for just the prejudices you have inside yourselves. Show me how to get rid of the unlimited capacity for human beings to make themselves believe that they're somehow right and justified in stealing from somebody or hurting somebody. And you'll just about put this place here out of business.
I don't think that we're telling you to lose your ideals or your sense of outrage. They're the only way things ever get done. And there's a lot that still needs doing, and we hope you'll tackle it. You don't have to do anything dramatic like trying to come up with a better country. You can find enough to keep you busy right here. While you're at it, don't break things up in the name of progress or crack a placard stick over somebody's head to help him see the light. Be careful of his rights, because your property and your person and your rights aren't any better than his. And next time you may be the one to get it. We remember a man who killed 6 million people and called it social improvement.
So hang in. Don't try to build a new country. Make the old one work. It has for over 400 years, and by the world's standards, that's hardly more than yesterday.
Well, Lori, what do you think of that? Lori, there?
Very timely. That was, yeah, sorry. That was 1960 what?
1968.
Wow. Yeah.
When you do the math on that, from 1968 till today, how accurate were they?
Spot on accurate.
Spot on. And you know, the funniest part I saw about all this is I thought, I put a post out the other day, I said, 40 years later, we sit here and look at the issues, and as parents, now we have to give our kids this entire rundown, and where do you think they'll be when you're talking to the kids of today versus what they were talking when they were talking about us? And I sat there and I thought about it and I went, shit. Oh no, shit. Oh my God, they're fucked. They're in deep shit. Like, seriously?
You're absolutely spot on that. That's absolutely correct. Because I mean, here's the thing: is you got most of these snowflakes living in their parents' basement. They have no job, no ambition, no education, and they are the future of America, and that's pretty damn scary.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm looking at these snowflakes, I'm looking at these millennials, and a lot of them, you know, I know a few of them that got it going on. They're okay. They got their shit figured out. But a lot of them, the majority of them don't.
The majority live in this fantasy world thinking that there's somehow some things are owed to them.
I watched that video clip and I just realized when we're gone, what is going to be left to fight and defend from prosecution and tyranny and injustice doesn't have a clue what they would even fight for.
You're absolutely right.
It's scary.
Right.
And I look at my son, he's 12 years old. He knows a lot of the basics of what I talk about. Okay? But if you had to ask him, he couldn't tell you because he doesn't know. He's not old enough yet. He doesn't have enough knowledge. And so my biggest concern is, even when we're talking about your kids, my kids, kids in the future, kids that are being raised by our kids, they're not going to have any idea what holding true to the Constitution, believing in a said word. You think that it's generational, that's going to continue on. But this internet and all this stuff that we're all living with right now has changed everything so dramatically, and they have everything at their access. I mean, they can learn more than we ever thought about 50,000 times over. And
and they're not being prepared properly for life either. I mean, we live in a world of, you get it, you know, it's like everybody's on the Oprah show. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car, you all get a card. And you get a trophy, you get a trophy. I'm sorry, but I didn't get a trophy. I dealt with the heartache of losing a game. That's how you prepare for life. I was told no as a child. I was told, what's going to happen when these guys go for their first job interview and they get turned down?
Yeah.
Sides up, yes, because they're not going to be able to they're not going to be able to handle the rejection.
Are they going to throw a temper tantrum in the lobby and say, you don't have the right to not accept me?
Right, exactly. I honestly don't think that people clue as to what's going to, these next 20 years, oh my goodness.
These kids, I mean, if these kids don't start picking up some history books and start talking to us and start learning from us, like we didn't do a lot of, but we still had respect for our parents. We still listened to what they said. They all think we're old kooks. They think that this internet, these iPhones and all this shit is so much better that we're no longer the parent, and the government has put us right out of business.
Well, I mean, look at my kids. We talked about this on my shows. I've got my well, she just turned 17. Here I had a 16-year-old trying to tell me how this country is run and how, with Trump getting elected and all this other stuff. I mean, I haven't talked to my 33-year-old son I haven't talked to my daughter either, because they think that, they know what's best. She's not even old enough to vote.
Not only that, but they don't have enough experience.
They don't have enough life experience. Right.
Right. When we were kids, you remember how all of our parents used to say, you just don't know, give it 20 years, and we'll see. All of this is going to end up being something that if you just looked at, if you just looked at the situation and you started thinking about it, you would understand where we're coming from. And we go, yeah, well, man, go back and look. We know horse and buggy days. We know, cars that you had to crank start, and you make all those funny aspects to shit. Now, when our kids look at that, they go, yeah, you guys were stuck on MTV and you guys didn't listen to nothing. Now we have technology, but technology isn't
always the best answer to everything. I truly think technology is harming us more than it's helping us as far as life experiences go. Kids are missing out on the life experiences because of the technology. I mean, when you and I were kids, we went outside and played. We had interaction with other children our age other than school.
When I was a kid, Lori, I'm telling you right now, I was just talking to my wife about this not too long ago. When I was a kid, I look at my kid and I can't pry my kid out of the house, and it's not because it's not the same mentality, because they think that it's all supposed to be spent on the computer in front of the TV, in front of the stuff. I don't let him do that stuff. I live near 30,000 acres of woods, and in the last 5 years, he's probably gone out there 4 times. And I don't get it. I don't get it, because I keep saying, why don't you, I took him out a couple times and I showed him, why don't you go out and look, explore. When I used to be a kid, I used to go, and I mean, when the lights came on, you were supposed to be home, and I didn't. But when the street lights came on, and I lived in a neighborhood out a little bit from the city, and we had creeks and ponds. And I would go out and ride my bike, be in the creeks and ponds, catching crawdads, doing stuff, moving rocks, being wet and dirty. And when I came home, I didn't want to come home.
Yeah, me too. I lived next to a huge apple orchard, and I used to go, and the kids from the neighborhood used to all congregate, and I would be gone house to grab lunch, run in the house to eat dinner, after dinner I'd be like, I've got 2 hours left of daylight. I knew that I could go out. We would play outside. We'd either catch a basketball game, or we would start a t-ball game or something, baseball. We did something, ride our skateboards. We used to all the time. We were always doing something. We were always outside of the house.
As I got a little bit older, I ended up getting a not a dirt bike. It was kind of like a mix between a moped and like a little bit of a trail bike. And it was an older model that my dad gave me, and my friends all had newer dirt bikes. But it still went 40 miles an hour. It had gasoline power, and after you went through the age of running around on your bike, and then you got a little bit older and you wanted to kind of like be a fit in. So you got your motorcycle, but it was like a dirt bike, and you went out there were trails and fields, and there was a 50 acre field behind my at the end of my street, and you could walk your dirt bike down there, and we had paths back there that we could ride on, and you'd always like talk crazy horror stories like the farmer's going to kidnap you and take your motorcycle, and you got to run from the farm. Like there was always something, and the silos were haunted, and you always had that kids thing. And you got together with a couple of kids in the neighborhood. You had bonfires, you had, campovers. I don't see any of this shit going on. And I don't think our kids are going to be okay like this. I don't
either. I'm saddened and I'm concerned about where this country is going.
And what I link it to is big corporate banks and these Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and all this other shit. I link it to this because they're the ones that haven't stopped with the technology. They've used the technology to triple and 50 times over amass their wealth and their power now. And so what's happening is our kids that are growing up in a lesser environment because they're not getting the hands-on rugged technology of a lot of kids. They're getting the technical technology that they know when they start in another 20 or 30 or 40 years, when they start cracking down on kids and saying, hey, we're going to take your internet, we're going to start regulating your thing, we're going to start banning you from cell phone use, we're going to make sure that you're terminated off of the internet. When they start doing this, these kids are not going to have a clue on what we're talking about until it happens. When it starts happening, they're going to lose their minds and kill themselves and do weird shit, because you think about it. If all you know is digital age, and then they start taking you out of the digital age due to you made a mistake, they can use this as high treason against you. And once they kick you out of the group, you're going to be left to defend yourself with nothing. There's not going to be a digital dollar. There's not going to be a Bitcoin. There's not going to be a go on to Amazon and get your clothes, because you're going to be expelled from the entire thing. And I kind of see this coming, and I was thinking about it today, and I just wanted to kind of put it out there. I was like, man, these kids they got to learn some toughness, and they got to get some skin. All these libtard crybabies that are out there going, snowflaking it, and going, oh, Trump, and all this. Look, we have been elected into situations we never wanted. The fact that I like Trump, you may not like Trump, whatever, he's here. We're doing it, okay? We did this with Obama, and it didn't work. But what I don't see...
And let's just make it clear. When you say that you like Trump and I don't like Trump, don't let people think that I liked Hillary, because I don't take any... I'm not on any side of the fence. I'm not in the middle.
I wasn't saying that you specifically don't like him. I know that you have issues with him, but I'm not saying you like him more or less. I like the guy, okay? And in comparison to anything else that I could have out there, if you could line up anybody else on the street, I'm taking Trump. Okay, at this point in the game, I'm taking him, because at least he's got the balls.
It wouldn't have been. Don't have people take it personal when I say that I don't like Trump. It could have been Joe down the street, and I wouldn't have liked him, because I don't believe in organized government. I don't believe in that. So right. I mean, and I just see it differently. I just see it as the satanic world government. You guys, but. Regardless of how we see it, we both can totally agree, same stance when it comes to the fact that, what's coming with these children, next few generations, it's pretty damn scary.
They don't have a clue. I mean, they
don't have a clue.
They've been indoctrinated wrong. No. They've been taught wrong. The schools have been cramming Common Core in their ass and everything else. And so they just don't have a clue what these seedy, nasty families that are running the show, that are still in charge, are going to be able to do to them. And the thing about it is... Go ahead.
It all started with the back in the 50s, in the 60s, with the feminist movement and the deterioration of the family unit. I've talked about this a lot. We went from the two-parent household with the mom and the dad. Dad went to work, mom stayed home with the kids went to school, and then in the 60s and the 70s, mom went out of the house, she started working, divorce rates went up, we started seeing latchkey children, we started seeing after school programs, we started seeing, one-parent households, and it's slowly deteriorated from there until the point where now we've got these snowflakes who needs their safe place because somebody looks at them cross-eyed.
Yeah, and the sad part, the really sad part is, I get it. I get some of it because we wanted our kids to have better. We didn't want them to have to be out groveling for everything. We didn't want them to have to be.
Unfortunately, we've created monsters.
Yeah, but by trying to not be our parents, which we thought were cold, heartless bastards that hated us and loved beating us because it was intentional, that after a while you get to your kids and they start telling you no, and they're mad at you, and you just want to get the belt off and whoop their asses like you did when your parents whooped your ass.
Oh, but
and
you can't do that because your own kids will call CPS on you, or the school will call it on. You put a mark on your kid, God forbid.
Right, and so they take it away from us, and it's like, wait a minute, I never really wanted to beat my kid in the first. This is the sad part, Lori. I've never really wanted to beat my kid in the first place, but there are moments in history when he needs an ass whooping.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
When you need to know that there is somebody that can tell you you're wrong, and you have a reflection point of that, and that's where, like, I don't get what's coming, because I know that if without having that upper hand and knowing that there is a high, because see, no one's put the fear of God in you. Like, seriously, when I did something, I'm gonna put it out there. When I burnt the shed down at my house, okay, I was 12 years old. It was a year before my father passed away. I was 11, and I was playing with kerosene spray and a Bic lighter. And, you light the ants and you spray it on the stump and you watch it flame up for a second. And I'm spraying this to use this shit for killing wasps. You spray this on wasp nests and they drop dead. It's a little kerosene mixed with like DDT and Agent Orange and a few other things that my dad had in the garage back then. Cancer-causing shit that would eat your brains out, but we spilled it all over us and bathed in it. Because that's what we did when we were kids. Okay?
Right.
Dad says go fill up the jugs to spray the wasps. And you got a 5-gallon container of shit with no funnel. What do you think's going to happen next? Okay, the bottleneck is ½ inch in diameter, and the mouth coming out of the 5-gallon jug is 1 1/4 inches. As we're pouring as kids and holding a 5-gallon bucket under our arms, we're wearing this shit in DDT from Monsanto, right? But we didn't know. We're pouring a little DDT in a bottle, we're pouring some kerosene in a bottle, and we start spraying it on the wasps, and they fall down dead. And then 2 years later, they don't fall down dead as fast. And then 3 years later, they don't fall down dead right away. They fly away a 1/4 mile, and you see them drop on the street. So it's just called evolution. But what happens is when you get that bottle, you start playing with it, and you realize a Bic lighter comes into play, and you go spray that on your dad's canvas tarp, and you burn the shed down. I got the ass whooping of the century. Burn down a shed and have your dad come home and figure out that you did it. And all I'm saying is, it made me realize that there was a higher power over me. And that same higher power, when you start thinking about Dad can do that to me, and my dad wouldn't raise a hand to me normally, but I deserved it. I burnt the goddamn shed down.
Right.
There's a point in time in history in life that you have.
If I would have this stuff that these kids I see doing today, I would have been walking with a permanent limp and talking with a permanent lisp. Okay, that's just the way it was, Jeff. We got our asses whooped. We did something wrong, which is how it should be.
And it's not that our parents wanted to be like that, but they knew that their parents were tough on them. And they knew that if they didn't do what they were supposed to do on the spot when they were supposed to do it, they got their asses whooped. Well, this didn't come every minute of every day. This came when you made a big mistake.
there's a difference between abuse and discipline. I mean, you know, I firmly believe in, you know, disciplining a child.
Beat that ass.
You know, punishment. My kids got spankings. They got spankings. They didn't get hit. I never hit my kid in the head. I never slapped my kid across the face. I never punched my kid. You know, my kid got a spanking on his butt.
Right.
Intended to be, you know, and my kids will tell you, my kids are grown. You know, if mom hadn't done what she did, we probably would be terrible kids.
And like mine, I'll tell you right now, I whoop my kid once in a while when he does something that's completely out of the frame. Okay, I whoop him on his butt, and I'll tell you right now, it hurts me more than I do them. Like literally, when I'm done, I got to go in the room and like go like, I can't believe I had to just whoop my kid's butt. You know what I mean? And it's like,
well, I mean, that's the difference. Now, here's the thing with that, Jeff. Okay, how many times have you been? How many times have you been in a store, office, or in a waiting room? Let's go with a waiting room, and you see some kid who is terrorizing their mother. I just saw a video the other day.
Oh yeah, I saw one too.
Well, this kid was in a waiting room with his mother, and he beat the hell out of this poor woman. You know, and that's what we're creating. We are creating a undisciplined, unchecked society of just people who have no regard for respect, let alone their elders.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like we used to respect old people. We talk to them, Mr. Smith or Mrs. Clint, Mrs. You know, whatever the last name was.
Right.
You know,
ma'am, ma'am, sir.
You know, and you'd say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and you talk to them. When my kids addressed anybody, when my son addressed anybody, when I'm out with him, I say, what do you say? Yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And so he's got some manners about him. But I see these kids now, and I mean, I see them yelling at their grandparents, cussing out their parents, and I see stuff, and I just like
hitting them.
It blows my mind because, look, if you don't have that higher authority, that means that everything just completely runs rampant around you, and it's
right.
There's no discipline.
If your parents don't set down the line, and if your parents don't put up consequences, because these kids nowadays are growing up with no consequences for their actions. They truly are.
It's disturbing because you realize in the future when somebody actually lays down the law, like the Rothschild family or some big corporation, they're not going to know what to do with themselves. They're just going to throw temper tantrums, and then they're going to send somebody in, and it's going to literally be a controlled situation at this point in the game. So you're talking another 40, 50 years from now without any of us being anything but, you know, 100-year-old dying people with no way to defend. You're going to be looking at these kids going like, you're done. And that's when statism, corporate takeover, and no voluntary constitution will then take place without any kind of burden. It'll just walk right in the door.
Right.
So I just wanted to put that. I saw that video and I thought, man, isn't that just crazy? What would they do 40 years later when you're talking to a parent, talking to the child in the same manner? What would you say to these kids? And I went, you're screwed. If you don't pick up the ball and start understanding where you are on the planet right now, you're screwed. So
Exactly.
but I want to throw that out there. What do you think about this stuff going on with Trump powers and the powers to be? The powers that be.
Here's the thing, Jeff, is I'm going to be honest with you. I've been out of the loop for a couple of weeks. I've been getting ready to go to work, and you know, I haven't really felt it going on the air. So
well,
I haven't really been on Facebook very much.
I can tell you what I've been seeing, and what I've been seeing is a pretty broad aspect of the fact. Look, if you petition the FISA courts, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit about the Trump Towers and the wiretapping scandal right now. Haven't even touched the WikiLeaks or any of that because it's so deep twisted and literally, listen, this is the crazy part, Lori. Did you hear this part? That literally what they have released just recently is 1% of what they have in the vault ready to go. So if that's anything, I mean, it's because what they released just in the last day or two has been mind-blowing. Like, it's huge. It's just like the 650,000 email dump that they did before. There's so much stuff to weed through at this point. 1% means that this is just going to turn into an absolute nightmare once it starts rolling out. So right now we have WikiLeaks dumping stuff, and we have this whole wiretap scandal, Obamagate scandal, whatever you want to call this. All I can tell you is this. If you petition the FISA courts, and I'm just going to ask you a hypothetical question. If you petition the FISA courts and you get turned down, and you know that FISA court is 98% applied on. So that means 98% of the time when you have a reason to go to the FISA court and they give you the permission to wiretap somebody, it's 98% that they'll give it to you. At this point, you get turned down by the FISA court. That means you went to the FISA courts and said, listen, there's this guy running for president, and we don't want him to win because he's getting ready to stick it all to us. So we need a warrant, and this is why, because we think he has ties with Russia. And the FISA court looks at it and says, are you out of your mind? We're not going to give you the warrant? And you're turned down for it? And then you rewrite it, and now there's a lot of speculation here. We don't have solid evidence. So I'm going to put out not a false truth or anything that's fake here. We're going to talk about what the reality of this could be because we don't have enough evidence yet. But what we do is we have it turned down from the FISA courts on the first go-round. At this point, they've already said that this is insane and you can't do it. So if you go ahead and you proceed forward in doing so, you are committing treason in the highest degree, and you're tampering with the elections. You're tampering with the American people and what they truly are instead of what you think this whole game that you're playing is with this a New World Order and your private underground military, your dark side military that you have in your own network here. This dark-seated, dark world government that you have underground. Because it's there. We've known it's there for a long time. It's the reason why Kennedy's dead. It's the reason why people still think that whatever happened on 9/11 had to do with terrorists when it was just internal. Okay? When you believe that we haven't been at war for 15 years for a financial gain, even though we're spending $200 billion a week every time we turn around, money's going out the door, and we're all talking about we're broke and $20 trillion. Well, if you guys go back and do the math, all those numbers didn't start until after 9/11. Okay? We weren't anywhere close to being in debt until Barack Obama and everybody else threw us under the bus and decided to embezzle money. So this has been a huge embezzlement of the gold and of the way we are as people, because they know when they can trade paper for gold, they can then be controlling everything. And you wonder why gold prices went through the roof. Well, they went through the roof for a reason.
Right.
If you excited hope and you can cash in all of your jewelry, all of your gold, and everything that was worth something, so they can hand you paper that burns,
Right.
paper that has no value, paper when they decide it's over with, it's over with. Their paper is what they gave you for your gold. Just remember that, guys. Every time you give up the gold, he who has the gold makes the rules. So,
Right.
my whole thing with this is they have the gold and they're trying to make the rules, and we have some powers that be that don't agree with them. They want their share. They want whatever. It could be new government, new world. It could be a beginning of something different. It could be whatever. But what it can't be is you trade all of your assets away for pieces of paper that do nothing but trade for more junk and buy groceries. Because at the end of the game, you lose, you lose, you lose. And that's what they've done. They've devalued us all the way to almost nothing. And so at this point in the game, all we're trying to do is figure out where we stand. Well, right now, in this entire mess of things, where we stand is this. We have past presidents that have ties to Saudi Arabia, ties to the Clinton Foundation, ties to Uranium One, ties to Burns, Oregon, ties to every single tragedy in this country, every shooting, every school event, every psyop, everything, anything you could possibly dream of. When you hear it on the mainstream media, you know that we are actually being controlled in a movie set environment and played out like we're goofy. And
absolutely, it's all by design. It's all by a script, just being played like a fiddle, you know. And that's why they keep us so dumbed down with this technology. It's supposed to increase our IQs and increase our knowledge, but in reality, it's just dumbing us down and keeping us busy, you know. And I've busy being under Satan's joke, because I mean it keeps us from researching the things that bring the truth out. It keeps us from understanding the truth. It's definitely it's doing its job.
How many times, and I want to throw this out there because I think it's kind of humorous that I you know see it like this, but how many times do you have these games that you get for free? All you have to do is download them, and you get to have hours of your night taken away from you to achieve goals, to farm and
look,
create.
Jeff, I told you, don't judge me for playing my Farm Hero Saga, okay?
But you're not the only one that plays it, and I wasn't judging you. Because my wife plays it, and I actually have...
Whoa.
No, wait a minute. Not just that game. I'm talking about just the games in general. I have a few of them that I play, too. And they started dawning on me, okay, with the flicker rate. How well they actually get you. And I know you know when I talk about the flicker rate, how many times they get you. You know your daily bonus is coming up. And I want to reach out to all the listeners out here. You know your daily bonus is coming up, and you got until midnight to cash in your chips, or you get to go back and start all over with less than a bonus rate of basically nothing. And they want you to spend $1.99 to $100 to buy credits for this bullshit game, but you get addicted to it because the flicker rate is pounding you on your iPhone at night while you're laying in bed, not watching TV, while it's droning away in the background, killing your mind, and you've got one light on and you're not ready to fall asleep yet, but you got to catch your games up before you go to sleep. Okay? How many times that happened to you?
Can I tell you how? Okay, you're absolutely correct. A little bit of story here. Back when I first started on Facebook in Farmville, and I would sit there and I would plan out my day according to when I would have to harvest my crops. I would literally sit there at night and go, okay, now it's 9 o'clock, about 6. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's 9 hours. I need a crop that'll be ready in 9 hours when I get up in the morning.
Do you get that mentality now?
Absolutely. You know what? Here's what the kicker. I remember driving down the street one day. I was driving with my boyfriend, and I looked up at the trees, and I almost wanted to click on them that harvest the trees.
Oh my God.
Now,
seriously, that's how addicted I was.
Now, apply that to your work ethics, okay? Because one of the things you have a problem with when you don't have parents teaching kids how to work anymore, you don't have parents teaching kids how to go to work for 38 years because you can't work any place 38 years. No company stays in business that long. They have to fold up and get the tax breaks so that they can close up and not pay the 401k after 10 years, okay?
Right.
They got to be able to get this thing under the radar. So after 10 years, they change it to another company and they sell it to somebody from China, okay? So your kids don't even know what it's like to actually go to work for 35 years in a row and have a real job and have a daily schedule.
Right.
So the indoctrination has to come from somewhere else. Well, they have to teach you what it's like to work, but they don't want you to actually get your hands dirty. They don't want you to be those immigrants in the field picking the strawberries and grabbing all the tomatoes and the corn and doing whatever. They got to go out and they got to teach you how to farm on a computer and get you basically so intensely stuck on this that you'll play it for free or pay money to, which most people always end up paying something, even if it's $2 or $5 or $10, so that they can build their farm big enough for it to start earning something worthwhile, okay? Me, I am the other way. When I play them every once in a while, I play them and choose not to pay under any circumstances, no matter what I want on, okay? But now I realized after playing it, the mentality of slavery that it creates. And if you can go ahead as a snowflake and march in the street with vagina on your face, I'm going to tell you that this games and this stuff enslave you into a work detail so that when you wake up, you know you have to collect your crops, and then you have to, in the afternoon at your lunch break, go and clear your crops and replant new ones. And then at night when you go home, this is all indoctrination. And while they're indoctrinating you with this idiotic game that you choose to play on your own free will and pay for, that in the process, they flicker rate you with the most highly intense DARPA mind control programs and noise backgrounds to calm you into a state of lull so you'll play it unintentionally for hours, just like they do your children. And at the end of the day, I really wish people would listen to this and go look into it, because the marketing gaming industry and the product marketing industry, because always if you want free shit on these games, you got to watch a commercial. So while you're watching that commercial and you're going, I'm not watching it, and you throw it down and you let it run for the 1 minute, 20 seconds while you're doing another game on another computer. While you got your cell phone in your hand, not watching it, you're doing the other one on the computer, okay? And you've got your time all absorbed, but you forgot you left your headphones in. And while your headphones are running, you're listening to this birds chirping and really wonderful elevator music in the background while they're programming you to understand the fact, and this is what I'm leading into, understand the fact that all of your instruments and devices are watching your emotions. They're watching you. They're listening to you. They're seeing how you react to these games. And they're monitoring you to the fullest extent. And that's where the wiretapping comes in. And that's where all these FISA court orders come in. And when you go to a FISA court and you get 98% grants for the FISA court order, but you can't get one on Donald Trump because you're a crook and they know you're trying to do something that's so far out of the realm, it's mind-blowing to me how people can't see it. But I do want to point it out that it's right under your nose, and that we all like playing the games, but the games are playing us because they're learning our eye movement. They're learning rapid game thought. They're learning eye movement. They're listening to us. And now, after the leaks have come out, and that leads into WikiLeaks, the leaks have come out testifying and stating for a fact that your TV, Samsung, your Xbox, your cell phone, and everything monitor your voice rate, your heart rate, when you lie, when you talk straight, when you're having an affair with somebody, when you're in your house making love to your wife, while your kids are running around in their underwear. They're watching you, and it's real. And that's what
I have a.
Go ahead.
I just got a new phone, okay? And I just, it's a thing that's called S Health on my phone. I can measure my heart rate. All I got to do is push measure, and there's a little sensor on the back of my phone that I put my finger on, and it takes my heart. I can see my heartbeat.
Yep. And does it take your fingerprint to open your phone? There's a fingerprint scan on the phone now. On my phone has a fingerprint scan. Okay.
I don't have to use it, but
you do
if
because it's convenient.
Yeah.
It's convenient. That's how they get us every time, people. Every time they get us because it's convenient. We're a throwaway society. stop being a throwaway society and start realizing if you don't stop with convenience, they're going to convenience us until we don't even have anything. It's going to be so convenient to just sit there and take an IV drip to the arm and never leave your computer while you have a shit bag hooked up to a drain tank that goes to the sewage, that you will literally not have to be a human being anymore. You could just sit still someplace as a blob and be fed, because it's coming to that. And Disney, if you remember, Disney did a movie about it. Pixar did a movie. What was it? Wasn't it The Incredibles, or what was it, one of them? Where they had half of the people were blobs and all they did is computer programming. And then one of them had to get up and walk, and they were as big as a house. They couldn't move.
Wow.
I don't remember the movie, but I remember seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting to that point, Lori. And it's getting to the point where if we don't stop this and we don't start talking to our kids and we don't start insisting that discipline be a part of life and, you know, start putting some reality back into it, we don't stop this free state of takeover. Because it's not just the government. It's everything that has to do with marketing. The government's involved with it. Russia's involved with it. China's involved with it because it's a global economy. Everybody doesn't realize everything we do on the internet every day is a global economy. Globalism didn't have to come in with an iron hand and bullets. They didn't have to storm Normandy. They didn't have to take over Laos. They didn't have to drop bombs on Indonesia or any place else. We didn't have to blow up Bikini. They just literally turned on a little thing called the computer, and globalism was whole. And now they're taking our families, they're using our kids as play toys, as internet fun toys, as sexual deviants, as devil worshiping, as the music videos are, and as everything rolls around us. We haven't won anything. All we've done is just sit back and made one step back to a little bit of understanding. We're so enraged and we watch our kids cry about nothing. We should be the ones on the ground screaming and crying. We haven't seen a single thing taken from us that we didn't give them. We should be screaming at each other and looking in the mirror, realizing how much of this country we gave away and believe that it was all under freedom. We need to wake up and realize something. All of this shit that we have has us. It owns us. We don't own it. If you don't play your games, you're in penalty. If you don't go to work, you're in violation. If you don't pay your cell bill tomorrow, you're not going to be accepted as a human being. What happens when you walk away? When you turn it off? What happens when you're the homeless person on the street? You're not part of humanity anymore. They don't even want to feed you when you're homeless now. And if you do, you're going to get a ticket for it.
Right.
I mean, seriously, I want to drop 50 F-bombs right now. Because right now, it doesn't make any sense what we've become. We have let all of this empower us to the point where we're chained by, where you get in your car, and how many people, and I just want people out there to listen to this for a minute. How many people get in their car every day and text and play with the cell phone and can't wait to look at their voicemail to get to work? Can't look at their Facebook page, their IM. And it used to be, you remember, Lori, you go and you be at work and you call in and check your answering machine.
Right.
It'd go beep, and you have to type in a 6-digit PIN number, and then the answering machine say, you have 5 messages. Yep. And you listen to them, and one of them would be a bill collector, and another would be one of your cousins trying to borrow money from a bill collector trying to get them. And then you find out, hey, oh my God, somebody's gotten hurt that I know, and I gotta leave work and go to the hospital. See, because it was convenient. Instead of you waiting until after you got off of work to check your shit, you heard it and you had to say, hey, boss, I gotta leave work and I gotta cut into this because somebody got hurt and I gotta go to the hospital and stand next to them, because that's what we did. But then all of a sudden, you would do that when you came home, and you're like, oh shit, 6 hours ago, Tommy went to the hospital, I need to go. But now, it's instant. Now it's 2 seconds. And now it's not your answering machine, it's not your pager. And it went from your pager to a cell phone. And it's not just your cell phone. Now it's
gone to a society of instant gratification.
Instant gratification. Right now. And it's not just your cell phone. It's your cell phone that's now bigger than the Library of Congress 10 times over and can track you in the world, can tell you where you are, can tell you where your car's parked, can tell you where the restaurants are, can tell you where gas station is. I remember running out of gas not knowing how far I had to walk, but I know I had to walk. Now I can
Well, check this out.
There's 3 gas stations in walking distance. Instead of picking one that you think is the shortest, you go, oh, look, there's one that is shorter. It's 3/10 of a mile shorter because I have a map that tells me that now, instantly.
Right.
But human error taught you.
Dave is home he's been home for the last week. His cell phone conked out. And we can't let him go out on the road if he doesn't have a cell phone or the internet.
Do you remember when truck drivers had a CB and that was it? They disappeared for 5 days.
He's got a CB, but guys on the road have them. Nobody uses CBs anymore.
You know, I remember when truck driver friends of mine would go out and they'd be gone for 7 days. You didn't know where they were. And then they'd come home and they'd go, yeah, I've been to Arkansas, I've been to Tennessee, I've been to Georgia, I've been to New Orleans, and I was back. I stopped in at Texas, and now I'm home.
Right. Yeah. Well, the problem is he uses his phone for maps. You know, he can't be without maps.
And GPS coordinates to tell you where the loads are because people don't want you to haul their loads unless you can tell them where they are.
So he's been home with me for the last week.
Not earning any money when in a normal society of work in the 1970s, when you had a truck, if you got someplace and didn't have a load, you didn't bobtail home. You made a phone call and another phone call, and you sat in a truck stop overnight, and you take a shower, you hit a bunk, and you pay for a room a night or two. And instead of coming home broke with nothing to show for the waste of time and money, you waited it out, and then you find a load. And you know, there's loads all over the place, and within 15 to 30 minutes.
Well, that's why he needs the internet, because his phone runs the internet on his computer, and that's how he gets the loads.
Right, and but also in the same hand, if your connection isn't put together, when the person that's shipping the loads calls for a load update, if you can't tell them the mile marker that the truck is at, all of a sudden you're not trustworthy, and they're not going to use you.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's kind of the society that we've gotten to. I mean, we are dependent upon not only our cell phones, but internet to survive or to even be functional.
It just gets to the point where I look at this and I realize, look, and I'm not going to lie about it, we all love our big screen TV. We love the high definition. We love the way the shit looks. We love the excitement. But have you noticed lately, watching a movie has no... I mean, you can get a couple action films that get you kind of... But you know it's CGI now. Where when we used to see stuntmen do shit in movies, we knew that they had to like put some shit at risk, and it was all stuntman kind of stuff. And then CGI came in, it was nice to see it. But to me, I want to see some reality in movies. All of this shit, and then, you know, fake reality TV, where they keep telling me that, you know, Sookie and the roommates all need to, you know, be a reality show, even though none of it makes any sense and all of it's scripted. And True TV hasn't put out anything true since the time it aired. You know what I mean? When I'm a repo man. I've been repoing cars for 30 years. I just got me a new repo truck, okay? I'm getting ready to go back to work. I've been out of work for the last year and a half because of my repo truck being down and a bunch of shit happening and not having enough money. And I'll put it out there just like it is. Because that's me. I'm real. Yeah. I tell the truth. And I've been sick. I've been through shit. I lost out. A company didn't pay me after I did a big job for them. They owed me a lot of money. And so I you know, I'm pissed off and bitter about it. But I got to do what I got to do. So I go on the air. And when I can't go out and make the money because I wasn't feeling good and I had a heart attack, I had to come on here and talk about it. Yeah. And so now I got a truck. I'm starting to feel better. Things are getting better. I'm going back to work. But I'm telling you like this. All of this is engineered. And when we sit here and we look at all of this and we don't understand it, It's because we haven't done any research. When me and you go research a story, do we just read one article for 10 minutes and not look where the source was?
No,
Wouldn't that be
I
nice?
wish.
Wouldn't that be nice? That's what mainstream media gets, because they just get it funneled to them. They don't even have to go source anything anymore. They just get the source 2 times from the same person with 2 different aliases, and then they go, that's news.
Yeah.
You know, we source stuff. We look, and then a lot of times when we source stuff, we're still not 100% correct. But we do our best to try and make sure that it's real and accurate. We try and put out that what we've done is, look, and when I tell you something is speculation, well, it's because I've sourced enough information on it, and I see where it's going, and I also see the proof of what we've seen in the past from the same exact thing. Will I tell you it's 100%? No. About it. When I go to a story or a topic, okay? And so, like, me and you, you know, we've been talking about this stuff with wiretapping, and we talked about this stuff with this. When I have to look at the wiretapping issue here, okay, I don't have enough information yet, but it's coming, and I know it's coming. I know that there's a whole lot of stuff coming that when it finally falls out of the woodwork, everybody that's out there that's stuck in their fantasy farm games, and everybody that's been listening to this and understands what I'm talking about here, you're in for a rude awakening, because there's going to be some shit that's going to shock you to the core. And there's some stuff coming up on the show here that we're going to talk about that's going to get a little graphic, and it's going to probably, yeah, it's going to, we should talk about topics on the show when we open. We had a little rough opening. We had a little rough opening due to a technical error, and we're trying to get it fixed, but these computers aren't what they should be. And that's because I don't have the money to update them and be part of the Joneses. So, what the biggest thing is...
Well, you know, here's the thing about that, Jeff, is when we say we speculate, we don't speculate unless we've got a pretty good idea we're right about it.
Right. I'm not just grabbing this out of thin air and going, this is what I believe. I'm using techniques and motive. Now, being a repo agent, I happen to see the way people do and act. I see the way people are when they first get the repossession notice and they're being assholes to me. I've also seen people come out and be perfectly normal, nice, calm, and collective, shook my hand, gave me the keys, and said, hey, man, we appreciate what you did. We understand it's your job. No big deal. And you go on. And then I've had the other person come out with a golf club and hit me in the back of the head. Okay? So I understand all this, and I see human nature. I apply human nature, including intelligence, knowledge of what we've seen through the past history from them, and including what we see in the present history of what's going on. So when we do things like this, and we say, do you think Barack Obama could wiretap Donald Trump? I most certainly think he could. I most certainly think he could, and I think that if you petition a court for a FISA order, you most certainly want to do that. So common sense tells me that if a wiretap system, and like listen, this isn't 1972, because a lot of people remember Perry Mason, and they remember the Simon and Simon, and you remember Magnum PI, and you know what a wiretap was then has nothing to do with what a wiretap is now, okay? When you talk about a wiretap then, you had to break into somebody's house, you had to put a little piece in the phone, you had to unscrew the phone, screw the phone back in, or you had to get one and stick it on a pole. It was a 12-volt power supply, and it had to send a signal within 2 miles. Why? Because I know exactly what wiretaps are. I've seen them in person. I know how they are installed. I know how they work, and I know exactly what the deal is with them. Okay? So I know for a fact what they are. Then, on the top of that, you add today's date, time, and era, and the fact that everything that we own has a speaker and a microphone in it, your cell phone, your TV, and let's go down the list of things. Your refrigerator, your washer and dryer, your dishwasher, because if it dings a little funny tune or it Bluetooth wires to your cell phone, it's a smart technology, okay? Your refrigerator, your thermostat in your house, your doorbell, your camera system, okay? All of these things will monitor you through the energy efficient rainbow. And they will tell you on every one of your appliances, this is energy efficient and self-monitoring. It can connect to the internet. It can probe Google whenever it needs to ask a question to correct an issue. These are all the things that are right in front of us. When you walk into your house and you tell the computer to turn on the lights, and you tell the other one to turn on the music, and it greets you at the door and says hello and welcome. We all like Manfred the Butler, but sooner or later, it's going to become a part of you that you don't really want. Like, I
Googled job interview on Monday, and I Googled it, and you wouldn't believe, but the company came through my newsfeed today on Facebook.
Right. Do you know, it's pretty interesting that I just watched an entire program on a lamestream media channel. I will not name them because I choose not to name any more lamestream medias. I just won't even acknowledge them anymore because they're shit. But on a lamestream media channel, they actually showed how Walmart not only communicates with your cell phone every time you walk in it, but so does Macy's, Sears, Starbucks, and everybody else that has those little things that when you walk through, it activates triggers in your cell phone, especially if you have virtual wallet or if you have your iBar scanners or your scanners for barcodes, okay? When you have any of your kind of scanning tools for inside the grocery store, and one of the other things that it lists is any of these coupon specials and all this other stuff. When you walk in, it triggers your phone, and it tells them. They are now designing, and I'm going to tell you this because I saw it, I couldn't believe it. They're now designing labels that'll be digital on the racks underneath the food. And when you see this, just know this is coming. The amount of food that you buy, so say you buy pasta and you buy Barilla pasta, and all of a sudden you like pasta sauce by just say Barilla. Say you're a Barilla fan, you like Barilla pasta and Barilla pasta sauce. It will recognize your cell phone and you through virtual voice and visual eye contact, and it will give you a better price for pasta than the person that comes up behind you. When you look at it and see it on the shelf and you're standing directly in front of it, it'll light up a price of $2.19 for a box of pasta, when the regular price might be $2.49. But because they know you're a special valued customer and you buy a lot of their product, they will give you that product at a cheaper price.
Unbelievable.
They were just showing this. On top of the fact that your underwear will be tagged, your socks will be tagged with a small tracking device in them, and that when you walk through the door, they'll know not only what store you bought your underwear from, what store you bought your socks from, but on top of that, it'll tell them how many times you picked up an item on the shelf, where you stood in the store for an X amount of time, how you viewed the product, if you picked it up 3 times and then put it back if you were debating it. It will then match it with video feed cameras and pick up your human emotions through retinal scanner and facial recognition. Now, when you watch this, that's some scary shit. That's called total domination and control of your brain.
They're stalking us, for crying out loud.
Stalking. And you know what, Lord? Good word. Stalking us is exactly what they are. They're so bound and determined to make their product. And you know what else they said it would do? It would tell them when products were a bomb. If it was the packaging, if it was the product inside, because it'll tell them if you walk down the aisle and 93 people walk down the aisle and never touch a product, they'll pull that product from the market within a week. Like, seriously, if 3 people pick it up and 93 people don't, they know it's a no good product. They'll redesign it and bring it back out a week later.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it just...
Biometrics, people. Biometrics is going to kill us. Or it's going to take us over completely, and we're going to be working for the biometric company. So what I'm putting into play here is the way we get this information. I can vet so many things, but I can also see the mistakes in vetting. I can see the mistakes that you can make because you're being lied to constantly. So if you got 90% lies coming at you, you weed out and find 10% that are real, but you actually found 15%, well, that means you went over by 5%, and you really thought you had a good story, but you made a mistake. See, that's still called real news. That's not called lying and making up fake news and everything else. It's called trying to get the truth out. But they've surrounded us so much of lies that we have to actually go places and really dig deep. And a lot of times you don't have all the information, but you want people to think about it. You want people to understand where it's coming from. And so that's what we're doing tonight. We're going to be talking about a couple of subjects here coming up. But one of the things with the wiretapping and all this stuff and the shadow governments, because these shadow governments exist. In the WikiLeaks that we have that just came out, it proves that Alex Jones and all of the conspiracy theorists, you know, and I want to take a 1 minute break, 1 second break here, not 1 minute, 1 second break here. I want every conspiracy theorist that talked about 9/11 and about Watergate and about the Kennedy assassination, every one of them that questioned the story, everyone that picked up William Cooper's book, everyone that listened to Alex Jones, every single one that's listened to me and Lori's shows, Eric Spitfire, any of us, anyone that was in Burns, Oregon, anybody that was real, that wanted to tell the truth, I want you to take 2 seconds and I want you to thank yourself. And then I want you to think about all the people that you helped save, all the people that we've woke up. I want you to really congratulate yourself, because the honest to God's truth is you're one of the few people that could see it, that voiced it, that had the balls to step up and do it, that had the guts to put out the message, to step up and actually say something. And now in this time where we are right now, don't stop. Don't get disheartened from it. Don't get sick of it. Don't think because Trump's president now we've won the war, because we just started. They're attacking us from every direction. And do I think that Trump has better interest than anybody else? Yes. Do I think that he's a saint and walks on water? No. Do I think that he's going to levitate the national monument no more? No. I think that he's trying, and I think whatever his agenda is, it's better than the agenda that was in front of the child molesting, child pedophile, Satanist shit people that we had in government, that we still have in government, that is completely surrounding the only man that brought back Christianity, brought back any kind of thoughts to this country about honoring anything with the flag, about giving any kind of respect to this country again, to try and at least bring us out of globalism and stop turning us into a one world order. Through all of it, we have a president that is not afraid to speak his mind, who will use Twitter to talk to people, who will actually go on and say what he feels, who doesn't have to put it in politically correct ways, because he's not a politician. He's a businessman and a salesman trying to change the way politicians are. And what we see from these politicians is sick and disgusting, twisted, nasty, and usually against us in almost every way. I ramble on, I rant, I rave, and I haven't done it for a while. I've been pretty cool on my shows, trying to get out just good information. But I feel like I'm slipping somewhere with the young. I feel like, Lori, like you're being attacked from every angle. You know, every time I turn around, somebody is fighting with you, trying to prove you're wrong. Why don't we just stop proving that we're right and start having everybody prove that they're wrong? Like, if people would just start going and looking at these people for what they are as a whole. Stop seeing it through CNN. Stop seeing it through corporate media. Start doing the math on how the Podestas got to where they are. Start doing the math on how shit just happens. How every time you turn around, you seem to be losing, and shit just happens. See, because that's where I get pissed. Shit just happens to go up to $4.50 a gallon for oil, and now it's $2 a gallon. Shit just happened. You know what I mean? How does the internet go from being free and a place to talk, and it's an open environment where Facebook was given out to everybody and said, bring your friends, talk about whatever you want, and it's all cool. Well, shit just happens. We just lost all of our rights, and if you speak out against anybody on Facebook, you get banned, and you're not part of humanity anymore. Shit just happens. You know, your cell phone. It used to be you had a cell phone because it was necessary to get back and forth to work and have some way if you broke down. Now it's a whole world of reality. You don't leave without your cell phone. If you drive out of your house without your cell phone, you check yourself within 3 minutes, you turn around and drive back. You don't leave it on the counter because you might break down, you might get a flat tire. You might not get the news of the day. You might not get your friend Facebooking you. You might not get your other cousin calling you or somebody calling you to tell you shit. It might distract you from the rest of the day, but you'd rather turn around and be late for work and get your cell phone than you would be to go without it. Why? Because shit just happens. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong at all.
All I can tell you at all of this is these people don't have our interest in mind. We're paying for everything that we do, and we're giving it away for free. We're trading our gold for paper dollars. We're selling our kids for sex. I mean, it sounds ridiculous until you see it. Until you see the stuff that's been going on with the, you know, how is it possible? And I want people to go research this. How is it possible that you could be James Alefantis that has this little shithole pizzeria and be the 49th most influential person in Washington? Now I want people to think about this.
Fuck that douche nozzle.
Right. Thank you, Lori. Fuck that douche nozzle. You know what?
I'm sorry, but
don't
that's
apologize. No, you're not sorry. Don't apologize. Don't apologize, because that's exactly what he is.
Don't even get me started on YouTube, because I am like totally pissed right off at YouTube right now. So
go. Why? Why are you pissed off at YouTube right now?
Well, because there's another douche nozzle out there that's fucking hijacking my channel. There's a guy out there. I'm not even going to say his name, because I don't want anybody going to his channel and giving him views. But he is. We're beyond stalking here. Okay, this guy is just creepy, because he has downloaded every single one of our shows off of our channel and put it onto his. One of them, Jeff.
And he's constantly bugging you, constantly doing shit, constantly causing problems. And when you've tried to fight this, what's happened?
So far, nothing. But Adam has been helping me out on this, and I have to say thank you to Adam so much, Adam and Damien. I've gotten YouTube's fax number, and I'm in contact with YouTube now.
Well, and that so people, if you see somebody and you see these shills out here causing issues, and you're part of our organization, you're friends with us, you know we're good people. You know that we fight the good fight. And you see these people doing this shit, report them. Help us out. Let us know what's going on, and then help us fight them. Because as together as a team, we make something. As single individuals, we just we sound like the snowflakes right now. Only when you ask a snowflake why they're screaming, no! They can't tell you why. All they can do is babble in a
I can tell you why I'm screaming right now. I can tell you why I'm pissed off right now. I'm pissed off because there's thousands of hours that this prick is taken off of my channel and put onto his as his own.
Right.
Something.
But you
better not be monetizing it or making money off my videos, because we're going to have some serious issues.
We know lawyers. We have friends. I mean, you know, we're not in a we can do this. Yeah, Lori's got Lori. I mean, I'm just so. Chris, my wife's got a service that for $40 a month you can have a lawyer at hand all the time.
Right.
And so.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking into it. You know, David's been helping me out a lot. I have I have his lawyers that are helping me, and his accountant that's helping me, and we're actually trying to legitimize my channel and legitimizing my product. What I am, that's what I'm exactly trying to do, is put out a product here, and for this guy to think that it's okay to come, I don't mind people uploading my videos, but every single one off my channel
and then using it,
yeah, every single one of them. And I'm not just talking about videos that I have personally uploaded of other people's onto my channel, because I don't have any say in that. They don't belong to me. But I'm talking about our live stream. Like, if I were to upload this show on my channel tonight, download it and upload it onto his channel tomorrow.
Yeah, and there's a point when usury and other things fall into play. And the fact of the matter is what is he pumping out with it? The problem is you can't control content when you don't understand the person. If everybody just takes it and starts making their own shit with your videos, then it changes the game. And
well,
so,
I mean, here's the thing is, he's even hijacking. I make all of my own art. all of my thumbnails are my design. I make those thumbnails, and he's even got those.
Yeah, it's a lot of time, energy, and you're doing this for free. On top of the fact that we already
and
know
he's
that one of the reasons why they're doing this, huh?
I mean, he's a thief, and I'm going to put an end to it. I've been spending 3 days on this, and I am not going to be done with it. His channel's going to be gone down, and I'm going to find out who he is, and I'm going to take him to court, and I'm going to sue him, especially if he is monetizing my videos.
Well, and on top of the fact that if it is who we think it is, they're doing it under a vindictive streak anyway.
Exactly.
So that's the other reason. It's that this is not just because it's coincidence. This is because it's happening because it's a vindictive.
It's an ongoing attack.
Right. But so this is going to lead into now what we were going to talk about, and I want to start talking about the Podestas and Madeleine McCann and some stuff that we kind of went over, Lori. And I want to talk about some Pizzagate stuff because I truthfully believe that that this is some information. Now I'm going to tell you, I believe that there is some information out there that leads us to the clues that Hannibal Lecter style murders exist for many different reasons. And this is not just one particular thing. This is a multiple of things. Lori, you have a little bit of knowledge on this. I have a little bit of knowledge on this. And when we do our homework and we kind of put our feelers out and you go down the rabbit holes where we've gone and you see some of the really twisted, sick, nasty stuff that, you know, nobody really wants to see. But when you vet these stories, you just don't pick the first article that comes out of Snopes or comes out of a, you know, CBS fake news, because the problem is if you just pick that, you'll just be reporting the same garbage that we already know isn't real. So what we do is we take the time to dig and we go in the rabbit holes, and then to get to this point after you spent 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours down 20 different stories, and out of each story you get one particular topic that keeps coming back to mind, or maybe even two particular topics that keep coming back to mind. The rest of it kind of dissolves away, and you start to get just this idea of it. And then a couple days later, you get another story, and you don't see anything that even remotely looks familiar to what you've seen. So you kind of say, that one just kind of doesn't look right. So you vet that a little bit more, and you find out it's a Snopes story, and it's been bullshit made up. And all they're doing is trying to cover up the tracks. It's a backwards laid piece. And they're trying to convince you that, oh, this isn't this way, or it may be something completely different. So we look at all of that, and then you get two more stories that come in, and all of a sudden, here you are. You're right back on topic again, and you're starting to see a connection with the other two stories out of the 10 you've read that actually makes sense and still have the two topics in it. So now you've got 4 of them connected together. Those start laying a pretty heavy ground that you found some hard evidence. So you keep digging and you keep digging, and then, you know, a couple of years go by, and that hard evidence is still not only hard evidence, it's gotten a lot harder, and it's gotten a lot more complicated. It's added a whole bunch of new twists and details to it. And when you get to the very bottom of it, it's pretty disturbing, but you still kind of can't prove it 100%. You can't step out and say, this is 100% real. But what you can say, something here just doesn't fit. And something here fits a little too well and kind of makes sense. So we're going to kind of talk about this subject here and kind of go over this thing. And Lori, I'll have to say, when it hit me, it was pretty realistic. It hit me and I was like, hell yeah, it makes sense. Hell yeah, it's pretty far out there. But when I start hearing about the flat earth and all the other shit that I've heard, pretty far out there doesn't seem as far as it used to be.
When you and I were talking about this earlier, Jeff, I mean, it coincides. It's right up there with that story or the information that I gave you that I received back in 2014. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not, very far-fetched together, and you understand how vile, evil, and just despicable these people are.
Exactly. It's exactly right. And I'm going to put a disclaimer on this. I'm going to boldly put a disclaimer on this. I am not quoting fact. I am not quoting anything to do with I have documents to prove it. What I'm going to say here is I have pedophiles running around this country and this world that are doing harm to children, and they're destroying families, and they're doing it intentionally. So I'm going to put this out as my own piece, and I'm looking forward to your input. But I'm putting this out because I truthfully believe that from what I've seen between 9/11, the Kennedy assassinations, and all the things leading up to now, including Sandy Hook, the Boston bombing, and every other form of terrorism, this goes into play with these style people. When you talk about terrorists in a certain style, you get a certain thing. When you talk about Irish people drink in bars and have fights, it's because Irish people drink in bars and have fights. It doesn't classify all of them. When you see Italians and you think of the mafia, it's because for years that's what it was. When you stick a pedophile in with some of this stuff that we're seeing, and you start talking about some of this stuff the way it is, it sounds pretty crazy. But when you think about the way these sick people are, you have to really kind of put yourself in a position to where, what would these people be willing to do to have their day, to play their play, to enjoy their money? Because we're talking about a realm that nobody here gets to play in, that very few of us even have a comprehension of outside of a 5-day work week. Hopefully you get the weekend off and you still have some money in the bank account after you pay your cell bill. Because we all come from that kind of society right now. We come from that kind of, we got kids, we have our own, I don't want to play with yours, I hope you don't want to play with mine, so I don't have to come over and hit you in the head with a hammer kind of shit. All that, like, we're just human beings and we respect our families. But there are people out there that don't. And they make a lot more money than us. And I'm not saying that you can't be a sick, twisted pedophile living in a shitty neighborhood. Okay? But when you are a sick, twisted pedophile that thinks that it's your right given to you under power, that you can do anything and no one's going to stop you, when you believe that your shit don't stink and you have the right to control other human beings, because why? And I will have to say this, because we gave them the right of power. See, the only way power ever exists is when you bow down to it and give it the sanction that it got. So for this to happen means we let this happen. It's on our watch, and it's our responsibility to stop this now. And so what we have to do is we all have to start picking up the paperwork and start looking through the files and start finding these 200,000 people that go missing every year. To go find the kid that came up missing next door and why. Where did he go? What happened? These people don't dissolve and evaporate, but somehow they do. Somehow in the midst of all of this shit, 200,000 people a year go missing. And you add that up for the last 10 years, that's scary numbers. So as we dig into this, no, we're putting out some stuff that's pretty crazy. But I think that we have enough information to do this. And when you talk about Madeleine McCann, one of the things that comes to mind is Tony Podesta, John Podesta, and Anthony Weiner. Now we know, under enough information put out by mainstream media and everything else, Anthony Weiner was busted. Uma Abedin was his wife. Uma Abedin has direct links to Hillary Clinton. We know that in his computer, Uma Abedin had a thing called a life insurance policy that backed up all the emails that WikiLeaks leaked. So we have vetted information on a whole lot of stuff that automatically vets itself as we go through, because we know that this all has come out. It's all reality. And we also understand this part of it. We understand that as people see this stuff, they don't understand that these rich people have totally different agendas. That they don't live their lives anything like we do, and we strive to be them. We strive to have the watches and the cars and the big houses, but we don't realize this doesn't fill their void. Once they've had all the money and they've had billions, hundreds of millions, millions, hundreds of millions, they get bored. And they want to start creating that next step. What do we do next? And I know that, you know, if you've gone through anything in life and you've seen yourself grow up, you started out kind of poor and you made a little bit of money. When you made enough money to go out and buy a new Harley, have a car in the driveway, have another truck in the driveway, wear a nice watch, have a little jewelry, live in a $300,000 home, you think different than when you did if you grew up in a trailer. You realize you kind of worked for it and you're entitled to a little bit. Well, just imagine if you woke up one day and you're worth $20 billion or $3 million or $6 million. Well, $3 or $6 million doesn't get you in this club. $7 to $10 million doesn't get you in this club. But it's funny. This little guy that owns this little hole-in-the-wall pizza place that might make $1 million a year. This guy's the 49th most influential person in this country. Really? In D.C. In D.C.
Right.
He's been listed on the list as the 49th most influential person amongst billionaires.
Not only that, but he's got the protection of the Washington, D.C. police also.
Everybody. The D.C. police are involved. That they will run you out. They will stop. They will protect him, but they won't protect you. He has, where they had a party for the D.C. police, they all signed his Aliphantis poster hanging on the wall and Comet Pizza saying there's nothing here.
Yep.
Because these people live in a different society. They live in a society of Satanists. They also live under this guideline that they have been granted the power to do whatever they want to do. And so where we're going with this is through this story, there's a video and a few other things that I've listened to, and then I listened to another one, and then I listened to another one, and about 50 or 60 of them in, you start hearing little things that just keep clicking.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that kept clicking was the spirit cooking shit. You know, a lot of people don't get this, but satanic cult rituals have been going on for thousands of years. Just because we're a modern society and these people go underground and they have their little parties in big mansions when no one's around, and they do this shit underground in underground caverns and tunnels, or they have these big farmhouses and these big places in the middle of nowhere, and they invite everybody that's part of the group out to do this, doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It means it most certainly happens because they don't have to get up and go to work in the morning. They don't have to worry about when they take off, if they jump in a Lear jet and they have to fly to Maine, or if they have to fly to Oklahoma. They'll fly wherever they got to go. If they need to fly out to a crop field in the middle of Boise, Idaho, if it's in a barn and it's the ritual that they want, they'll do it. It's like when you get up and go to church and donate the $50. They get up and they donate, $60,000, $100,000. They jump on a plane and they go have their little moment. And to them, that's right. Their spiritual awakening. Only what happens there can be a pretty twisted system. You know a lot about it, Rory. Lead us into a little bit, and we'll get into this thing where we come up with some stuff.
Well, we all know about Jeffrey Epstein's island, and we know about the whole spirit cooking. If you followed our shows, you know that Jeff and I and Robbie did a show a couple months ago on Madeleine McCann, and Madeleine disappeared May 3rd, 2007. We on the show we showed you guys pictures of John Doe 1 and John Doe 2, who look strikingly similar to the Podesta brothers. And we know for a fact that the Podestas were in the area a mile from where Madeleine disappeared on May 3rd, 2007, at a condo belonging to a gentleman named Clement Freud, Sigmund Freud's grandson.
Yeah, Sigmund Freud's grandson, Clement Floyd.
Right.
Freud.
Clement Freud. And
now, who was Clement Freud connected with?
He was connected with. What do you mean? Who he was connected with?
Jimmy Savile.
Oh, he was connected with Jimmy Savile.
Okay, so Jimmy Savile, whatever his name was a big time, huge time manager in Hollywood. Okay, and he booked a lot of famous actors and stars and did all kinds of stuff. Okay, and he was well known to be a pedophile. And in 1979, the leader of the Sex Pistols spoke out and said, listen, this guy is a big-time pedophile. He likes to play with boys, and he likes them under the ages of 10. Okay? When the Sex Pistols first started, he was representing them, and he did this in front of the leader of the Sex Pistols, and he left. And he thought that this information in 79 would get out, and pretty much that was voodoo that back then, big time.
Right.
And that it would cause a problem. Well, Jimmy just put out a ban on the Sex Pistols, and their music was basically shit for years until they got more into the European side of it. They couldn't get a gig anywhere in the U.S. Okay, so and the leader of the Sex Pistols have stepped out and talked about this, in open forum. You can see it. It's on many videos, and so he reported this whole thing about what was going on with him. So this is how it gets even stranger, okay? So Jimmy Savile, good friends with Sigmund Freud's grandson, Clement Freud. They all have this kind of, property thing that they go to and they hang out, and it's in
Portugal.
And they go and they hang out, and it's $1 million spread. They're good friends. Well, right before Jimmy Savile dies, he gets convicted of gets convicted of pedophilia, and multiple counts, 5, 6 people came out, boys came out, and later on, if you don't know some of these names, well, if you know Corey Haines and Corey Feldman, okay, Corey Haines and Corey Feldman were part of Savile's team, and through different parties, they've actually had videos where they've come out and talked about it. When they were growing up 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, they were raped and they were abused by their managers and by people in Hollywood that were directly connected to Savile. Okay? So as we spread out, this is where it goes. You got some more for this?
Just in the chat room, they were wondering, we're talking about Madeleine McCann disappeared in Portugal. She was taken out of her bed while she slept on the night of May 3rd, 2007. Her parents were out for the night. They were just 2 or 3 condos down having dinner with friends. And her and I think her brother were put to bed around 8 o'clock. Disappeared about 10 that night.
Yes. And did you know who else was around? So okay, we're not there yet. I'm sorry. So at this point in the game, Madeleine McCann comes up missing. Now, we start doing the research, and the police are called in. They do the search of the area. They can't find her. Somebody mentions the fact that there was a group of people at this bar right next to literally 400 feet away, okay, from where Madeleine McCann was missing. There was this bar, and there's a pretty wild party going on at this bar. It's a beachfront party, and this party went on late into the night. Several people, 34 people identified facial composites of people who were at this party. One of the facial composites looks identical to Tony Podesta. And when I say identical, if you hold them up next to each other and overlay them, they're almost an identical match. Then,
right down to the moles.
Right down to the moles. But then it's not just Tony Podesta, it's his brother. Okay? So you've got Tony Podesta, you've got John Podesta. But it's not just Tony and John Podesta that come up looking identical. Anthony Weiner then has a sketch that's produced, and he starts to look like he's involved in it. May even be the guy who carried Madeleine McCann off, because in this frame, a woman says a very thin man matching the description of Anthony Weiner was seen walking down away from the McCann area on the beach with a girl over his shoulder. Okay? Now we find out that not only was that person there, but we got another big player in the game here. And that this player, and I haven't even talked to you about this, was, do you know that we also have information that James Alefantis' girl was there? Or no, I'm sorry. No, who was it? The pilot. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. You're correct. I'm sorry. I just got them mixed up because there's so many of these sick twists. The Jeffrey Epstein's girl was there. So she was at the party with Wiener. So now we have the two Podestas. We have Epstein's girl, which we know.
And these are all facts. I mean, this is not where the speculation is coming in yet. These are all definitely facts.
Right. These are all facts. We know that these people were there. Okay. So we got Wiener. We got the Podestas. We've got Jeffrey Epstein's girl. And Jeffrey Epstein's plane is called the Lolita Express. Bill Clinton's been on it many, many times, 19, 20 times. We've got many different people that have been on that plane, okay? We know that that plane was used in sex trafficking of little kids. Right. And we also know that Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of pedophilia. We also know that Clement Freud was convicted of pedophilia after he died. And we also know that Jimmy Savile was connected to pedophilia after he died. And during the fact, right before he died, he was being convicted of it. It's public knowledge. You can go look it up. Okay? What we also have here...
And we want to make it clear that Clement Freud's townhouse is located a quarter of a mile away from where Madeline disappeared from.
Yeah, I think it's a little far. I think it's like 3/4 of a mile or something. It's somewhere between. Is it a quarter mile?
I thought they said it was a quarter of a mile. I could be wrong.
It might be. It might be. All I know is it's within 5 minutes of walking distance. Okay. Right. So, and I didn't mean to correct you on that. I thought it was, to me in my mind, I thought they said a little bit far, but not much.
I mean, make sure you push on Christie's. We got it. Okay, never mind. Yeah, so on the screen, if you guys see it, you can see that up at the top are the Podesta brothers on the right-hand side, and at the bottom, on the top and middle, are the top one here is a composite of the suspects that are suspected in the disappearance of Madeline McCann, or McCann, however you want to pronounce it. And then if you look, the composites go, I mean, they're identical to the Podesta brothers.
Yes.
And can you point to where the sketch of Wiener is?
Anthony Weiner's right here in the middle.
Yeah, and there he is. Yeah. So I mean, these are composites, and here's the thing: is these composites were put together back in 2007, 10 years ago. Right. Sitting on these composite drawings for 10 years.
Now look at that hair on Podesta. Look at the way his hair's cut. Look at that picture. Look at John Podesta. Look at Anthony Weiner. Look at the Podestas, and you tell me that those. So look, we pretty much. Look, I don't have the DNA of it. I'm not calling this 100%. I'm saying look at the evidence that's staring you in the face. Okay. We have 3 known pedophiles, people that have depicted murder scenes in their houses. Okay. We know that the Podesta brothers have dead artwork all over their wall of dead children. And they have Jeffrey Dahmer's bowback body of a murder investigation in the middle that they paid for a lot of money. Not just $5, not just it was some junk in a flea market and they picked it up and brought it home. It wasn't a mannequin. They paid an artist to render this in their house.
This was a commissioned artwork that they commissioned it.
So you're twisted enough to not only go earn the money, but then go spend it on a depiction of a murder scene. And you're going to have this in your house as artwork. Tell me what's wrong with that picture right there. Yeah, that's pretty much the way I feel about it. There's nothing else you can say that would justify any of that. I don't think that the worst part that you might ever see, and it's usually under pride because somebody bagged a big deer, is the game trophy hangs on the wall. But I don't see you putting a dead child on the wall in your house and getting away with it. So what would the next best thing be, Lori?
Okay, we know that on the deep web, they pay good. This is really hard. On the dark web, the deep web, whatever you want to call it, they pay good money for what's known as snuff films.
Yeah, stuff.
And they also do what is called, they have a bookies. They have dark web bookies. And what these bookies do is they take bets on how you can get, basically. And this is kind of where our speculation comes in about this story. But again, when we say we're speculating on it, it's because we have reason to believe that what we are speculating is in truth factual. And I'm going to let you kind of explain, because you're the one that brought it to my attention. Then I'll tell my information that I have.
Okay. So I was watching a couple of different takes, a couple of different videos, and all of a sudden something kept popping up. It kept popping up that right after Madeleine McCann disappeared, within just a few days, a week, that that Clement Freud was then home. Now, I want to rephrase this, and I'm going to put this in a couple of things. There was a party at Clement Freud's house, and the same time this party was going on at Clement Freud's house, this party at this bar was going on, is all at the same time that Madeleine McCann comes up missing. Okay? So, all within the same day, there's this beachfront party right next to the place where McCann is. McCann comes up missing. 10 o'clock at night, they realize she's not there. She could have been missing for an hour or two. They don't know. We know that we've got Anthony Weiner, we've got the Podesta brothers, and we've got Epstein's girl all at this party. Now, we don't know who else is at this party at this point in the game, because there hasn't been anybody else popped up in this scenario. But at this point, we have 4 people that we know are pretty twisted. They got dead bodies in their house and statues, pictures of the Green River Killer on their wall with children laying in swimming pools and in weeds in a river depicting the Green River murders.
And the fact that we do know for a fact that the Podesta brothers were in Portugal on May 3rd, 2007, and they were staying at Clement Freud's
beachfront property.
A quarter of a mile or a half a mile, whatever you want, within walking distance of where this girl disappeared. Now, what's weird about it is within the next few days after her disappearance, Clement Freud comes back into town, comes back to Portugal, and reaches out to the parents of Madeleine, correct?
Correct.
And what is he at? What is, because this is where it gets weird. This is where it gets very sketchy to me.
He then, and I would look, can you pull it up real quick and read it? And you don't have to show it. Just
pull what up?
Just pull up the one section. It's 9 minutes in. There is a section in this video that we watched, and they actually quoted a reach out. So Clement Freud comes home from being gone after loaning his property out to his Podesta buddies. Okay, so John and Tony Podesta have a party at his place. He knows about it, and he says, "Okay, go ahead." So they walk down the beach, and they're partying at the place right next to Madeleine McCann's. And so then he comes home a couple of days later, and he's not he couldn't be there for the party for whatever reason. Okay, so he reaches out to the parents, and he says to the parents, "Listen, I want you to come up to my house, and I want to get all the media away from you and take all the stress off of you. Come up to my house and hang out with me. I'm a pretty good cook." And then in other articles, when you look the guy up, he's kind of world-renowned chef. He's very well known for being a very good chef and being where. So he says, "Come up for dinner, And I want to offer you guys dinner and a place to get away from all of this and try and talk to you about what's happened and give you a break from all of this in the midst of the investigation that just started on their kid. And so in this mix, this is what starts coming out of that. He says, I'm a pretty good cook. Come up and hang out with me, and we'll try and help you. Now, that in itself doesn't sound all that bad. Except for when you start looking into the fact that part of the whole pedophile ring is into satanic cult rituals, and they're into pedophilia, and they're into murder, they're into drinking the blood, doing all kinds of crazy weird shit with their bodies and everything else, but they're also into cannibalism. And it's been very well documented in different religions, different places, different times and eras, and throughout many years, that cannibalism is part of it. But something that is put right in front of your face that you don't even see is when you watch Hannibal Lecter talk about he would go well with a nice Chianti and some fava beans. Well, this is exactly the kind of stuff that we have to put into play when you're dealing with sick, twisted pedophiles that would kidnap a child and damage them, hurt them, sexually molest them, kill them, and possibly eat them. If you brag about the fact that you're a well-known cook and you invite the parents up, it very much looks like the same kind of scene as Ray Liotta sitting at the table while Hannibal Lecter has the top of his brain filleted open and he's feeding it to him. It's almost like that whole gambling bet thing. I can do this and you don't even realize it's happening is right in front of you.
And I explained to you about the information that I had personally received back in 2014 from an anonymous source. I know who it is, but I'm going to say he's an anonymous source because I'm not going to put out his information. But he sent me information. He sent me 2 affidavits. He was at the Rothschilds, and personally, he witnessed. He was allowed to go into the kitchen. I don't know who he was with, whatever, knew some of the kitchen help, and he says, do you want to go in the kitchen? We'll show you how we prepare the dinner. And a black baby and a white baby was brought in, and they were prepared and cooked for the guests. The stuff, the elite call it long pork.
They call it what?
They call it long pork, LONGPORK. It's called long pork. Or long pig, one of the two, that they call it. What's that?
It got around for a little while, the other white meat. Because it's kind of a take on that. But if you look it up, it says long pig. It's a noun. It's translation of term formerly used in some Pacific islands for human flesh as food. But it's if you look it up in the Urban Dictionary, it says long pig, slang term for human flesh prepared as the flesh of a pig, usually used to sell human flesh to tourists in East Asian countries. Long pig is best when avoided entirely. Long pig, the flesh of a man intended for eating, derived from a phrase originating in the Marquesian language to it's cannibalism. I can't pronounce that word, but it says cannibalism. Right, you're eating a person.
Right, it says long pig is a term for human as food. Human meat is supposed to taste like pork, thus the name.
So, do you have that other article?
So the guy, he told me that he had witnessed, and this was him personally, had witnessed both a black baby and a white baby brought, and they were brought in alive, and they were prepared like you normally would, like you would an animal, and they were fed to the guests. He said that he also had, and this was the other affidavit that he handed me. He said that this was another person's personal experience that he had written down. was a employee of the Rothschilds and had just accepted a CEO position with the company. And of this man had just had a baby, and she went through a very prolonged labor. It was very difficult, and there was the baby needed special care, and she needed special care. So the Rothschilds came to this guy and they said, look, at prepared to give your wife and your baby round-the-clock care. You know, we'll set up a bed at our house. We've got nurses. We've got a nanny. We'll take care of your wife. We'll nurse her back to health. We'll make sure that the baby's taken care of. To say no to him because he had just gotten this really good job as a CEO of this company. And so they got to the house and took care of the wife. They took care of the baby. The baby was gaining weight. It was starting to thrive. The wife was definitely getting back on her feet. So they invited the husband and the wife down to dinner one night. They ended up feeding them the baby.
Yeah, and this is not the first time that this has happened. You know, and I know, listen, that story is disturbing as you could possibly get.
I don't talk about it too much, Jeff. I've never publicly put it out there except for a couple of times I may have mentioned it on a couple of our shows and tonight. But I was starting to write an article back in 2014, and that's when I got really deep into the researching of the MK Ultra, the mind, how they torture these children to create the MK Ultra, the monarch. And I started losing a lot of sleep over it. And like I said, the documents that I have, I have them. They're in my other computer. Access them to put it out publicly.
So, do you have the section pulled up from Freud's statement?
I don't. Hold on. Which ones do you want?
I just want the part where he invited the parents up and how he said it. It dawned on me as soon as I heard it what had happened. If you can take a second to get it, but so all I'm saying, people, is look, this isn't 100%. I can't go tell you that I know 100% this happened. But I can tell you this, there's a whole lot of things that lead up to this situation being very, 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 very twisted, very sick, with a lot of individuals that have enough money to make this happen and pull it off. And you know, if you're going to go out and render a deer and hang him on your wall because you hunted him, you usually bring the meat home and eat it. I mean, that's a lot of hunters. Now, there's some sport hunters out there, but most big game hunters try and at least eat some of the meat because they figure, like, if you're hunting and you're out doing your thing, then that's what you do. These people don't think far from that. And I'm telling you, if they could stump a person hanging on the wall, you don't think a guy that has a painting on the wall in his office that depicts people standing over top of a body on a table with a knife and fork and a plate, because Podesta's have this in their office. If you go to Podesta's house, over his bed, there's pictures of the Green River Killer in what they call a dead room, you know, and a kill room. And so they show kids in a circle around the drain of an empty swimming pool with black eyes. When you go to his living room, he has the Green River Killer pictures of the kids laying on the bank of the river in a bunch of reeds with a skirt on, and you can tell the girl's like a little schoolgirl, a little Catholic schoolgirl, and her eyes are black. And you can tell that she's laying there dead, with her friend laying next to her. When you see these pictures of these people, these sick, twisted people, and you see a statue bronzed in gold, and I want you to know something, these people don't take gold lightly, okay? When you paint something gold, it's what these people live and breathe for. They don't want your paper dollars. They want the gold, because the more gold that they have means the more power that they have. If gold is the golden rule. And so when you take this statue and you depict the entire murder scene of Jeffrey Dahmer's murder scene with the head missing off the body, bent into a U-shaped arch and the arms down, when you see this, and you see that it's painted in gold, you can tell under psychological evaluation, Mr. Freud, that this is because they love gold and they love this depiction of this murdered body. That this is the perfect form that's been created for them under a gold depiction. So now what are they willing to go to next? When you can buy all the artwork and have gold dead bodies in your house, what do you do next? Do you go out? Do you find a place to party, kidnap little kids? Do you start flying off to different countries and importing kids? Do you have these Pizzagate parties or these spirit cooking parties? Because see, the party only gets old. You can only do the party so long before you either get caught or it just gets old. So then they start doing spirit cooking. Then they meet sick people like Hannibal Lecter style people that are willing to invite you to a party and feed you a kid. I mean, if it's there and it's possible, but then you go, well, what's the purpose of all this? Is it just for that reason? Well, what if it was even better than that? What if you could do one better than just, not only could you just do the most heinous thing in the world, you could kidnap a little girl and you could kill her, you could molest her, you could rape her, and you could eat her. What would be the one thing that you could do even better than that? I mean, that's just as far out as you could possibly get, right? What if you could gamble and prove to the world you were the sickest fuck there was? What if you could go on the black web
and they go into the dark web and they put up bids. They put up bids on this, you know. I think I found what you wanted, where it says Freud invited Kate and Jerry over to his villa after. And it says Freud's opening words to the couple after they crossed the threshold of the Casa de Collins at midday were, "Can I interest you in a strawberry vodka?" On the hillside, not far from where Madeline disappeared, abusing BBC star bizarrely teased Kate about her being a nymphomaniac. Is that what you wanted?
No. There was that part, and then the part where he invited him up for dinner. And then he was a pretty good cook.
That's a part of the video. See if I can get that.
Yeah, there's a section there where he invited them up for dinner, and he said, "Come up and hang out." He started talking about all his perversions and the different things that they're into, and then said, "Come up for dinner. I'm a pretty good cook."
Well, thanks to the work of so many researchers.
Okay, hold on just a second. Can I play it on my phone?
Yeah, yes. I want everybody to hear.
All over. We now have information that is going to blow you away. So first, my thanks to Victoris Libertas, the website from which I shared this information that Anon claims FBI insiders have the goods. The intelligence community has the facts, which allegedly indicate that John and Tony Podesta were in Portugal on May 3rd, 2007, the day Madeline vanished. Now, here's what's astonishing about these claims. Sir Clement Freud, the grandson of Sigmund Freud, was a British broadcaster, writer, politician, and chef. And according to a former British ambassador, Clement Freud used dozens of children. And what's even more sinister about this is that his $1 million holiday villa just 1/3 of a mile away from where Madeleine McCann vanished. Story with you. I want to note that Freud died in 2009 at age 84. Madeleine McCann disappeared in 2007. And what's really sinister about this is the McCains didn't know Clement Freud prior to Madeleine's disappearance, but Clement befriended them after her disappearance and invited them to his villa in the midst of the investigation of the disappearance of their daughter. He wrote, "Been ashamed of the intrusion into your lives by our media, and if you would care to come to lunch or dinner at any time before Wednesday next. I cook decent meals." Now, evidently, Clement was a very good actor because according to Kate McCann's account of spending time with him after Madeleine's disappearance, she said, "Thank God for people like Clement who kept us smiling." Now, again, I think it's important to stress the fact that after the death in 2009, all of the stories of his pedophilia and child sexual abuse came pouring out. just as they did after the death of Jimmy Savile. So imagine how sinister this situation is.
There you go. Now, I cringed after the 50 stories that I've gone through. I cringed when I heard that one. And I want people to listen to it, and I want you to think about it. He talks about, I'm a pretty good cook. When they do the research on the guy, he's world renowned for being a chef. He says, come up for lunch or dinner anytime between now and Wednesday. So he has a specific timeline right after the investigation starts. So within a few days, he's got 2 months. Well, 2 months, 2 days. How do you can freeze meat for however long you want? I don't know, because I don't eat people. But all I know is no matter how you play this, while the investigation's going on, this guy who's linked to pedophilia, sudden, is inviting the parents up between a certain amount of time to have lunch or dinner. He's an exceptional cook, he's a pedophilia, and he's friends with the Podestas. To me, there's just too much here. There's too much here for it not to be there and be an issue. Now,
there's too much here not to at least question it.
Right. So I want more people out there, since the ongoing saga of Pizzagate continues, I want more people out there to do more research, to come up with more videos, to find more answers. Because the one thing that we can't do, we can't let these people continue to do what they do. We cannot allow these people to continually corrupt this and continually make this a harder place to live. While trying to raise your children, you have to worry about sick, twisted billionaires wanting to kidnap your kid, have sex with it, and eat it. I know that it's crazy. I know that it sounds far-fetched. It does. But that's actually what makes it more realistic. That we know that
it's not out of the realm of possibility, or it's not so far-fetched when you really think about the fact. I mean, my God, they actually have a name for the meat. They call it, they actually have a name for it. So it's something that is real.
And then the fact that you can actually still gamble on it, show people that you have the ability to be the sickest, show people that you have the ability to this, and this. Listen, there is very little doubt here that this is a possibility. And if it's not a possibility in this case, it's already happened in many others. We know that this is going on. We know that the stuff going on at Bohemian Grove and all these other places have to do with spiritual sacrifice, ritual killings, and everything else. We also know about the flicker rate. We know about the blood cocktails. We know about everything that they try and do to not only drone us down and get us into the mind frame of cattle, but then how under Planned Parenthood and aborted babies within a certain term of the final of the pregnancy, that the blood can bring up to $200,000 a bag, a unit, because they know that the stem cells, and that they know that the GBH4 and the different stuff that's in the developing body of the child has tendencies to be the fountain of youth to these sick, twisted people. So with a little bit of a descaling, they call it descaling, they'll take the red blood cell count and they'll knock it out through a descaler, and then they'll use the white blood cell count, and they'll use the stem cell and the GBH4 style stuff that's in the baby's body that they know creates added life, bone growth, hormone growth, just physical energy strengthening of a body. If injected into a person, can add a year to 2 years of stuff onto them. And at $200,000, do you think George Soros wouldn't get one of these drip cocktails done every week, 2 times a week? $200,000 to George Soros is a joke. If you can add a day to his life, he'd give you $200,000 a day infinitely if he could live forever, and he has the money to do this.
And you know, even the industry, the food industry is making us cannibals each and every day by putting HEK 293 made by Cenomix. I mean, it's a flavor enhancer that's made out of aborted fetuses, and they put it into our Pepsi. They put it into all of our food, basically, our processed food, and it's actually creating cannibal. We're cannibalizing, and we don't even know it.
Yeah, you're thinking that the flavor's better, and they're telling you, oh, this new flavor. You remember when you used to get a Gatorade and drink it, it tastes like shit? I mean, yep. You get it, and it was two flavors, orange and lemon.
Cenomix and Coca-Cola, they negotiated a new deal back in April of 2010, where they decided to put this flavor enhancer, this HEK 293, into the food, and this was, and it has been going on. It's copyrighted. It's, you know, but they hide it as like I said, HEK 293.
Well, and so, you know, you got the one side where they're getting you there. Then you've got people that they've already admitted fall into vats at these plants, these processing plants, and they don't even notice they're missing for a couple of days. And then all of a sudden, you know, a batch of tuna comes out with a person ground up in it.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the other factor. You know, we say every year 200,000 people go missing a year right now. Okay. Let me ask you a question. If you're loaded and rich, you got a bunch of friends that own, I don't know, Tyson Foods. You're in a state where Tyson has, you know, chicken patties. They're manufacturing chicken patties, or they're doing, you know, these fake chicken nuggets or whatever they make them, and they're full of cereal fillers and byproducts. And you start going through this, and all of a sudden, you need to get rid of a couple people. It's not hard to say that it can happen.
Right.
It's not speculation when you start doing the
McDonald's food tested positive for human DNA.
McDonald's has admitted to it, and their shit proves positive for human DNA in it. So does Conn's Hot Dogs and several other places. Several companies have admitted to having human DNA, a percentage of human DNA in them.
Yep.
So what happens when you adjust? If you adjust human beings, what happens, Lori?
You get an illness. It's called hold on a second. That you're talking about this, because I just did a huge write-up on this earlier today. There's a condition. It's compatible to mad cow disease.
Yes.
And it's called Kuru disease. Kuru is, it derives from the word Korea or Goria, to shake, due to the body tremors that are a classic symptom of the disease. Kuru itself means trembling. And the cause of this disease is cannibalism, or spirit cooking, because that's where they eat these foods. Now, the write-up that I did was about Hillary Clinton, okay? You know, we had all speculated, we all knew she was sick, but we had speculated that it was Parkinson's.
Right.
But now I'm inclined to believe that she's suffering from Kuru, and I'm going to tell you why. Listen as I read the symptoms, and you tell me at all like what Hillary Clinton has. In the first stages, which is called the ambient stage, the infected individual may inhibit unsteady stance or gait, walking, decreased muscle control, tremors, difficulty pronouncing words. At this stage, it's named because the individual is still able to walk around despite the symptoms. Now, the second stage, which is called the sedentary stage, the infected individual is capable of walking around with the individual capable of walking around without support, but suffers from severe tremors. The individual shows signs of emotional instability, depression, yet exhibits uncontrolled and sporadic laughter. Despite the other neurological symptoms, tendon reflexes are still intact at this stage. The third stage, which is the terminal stage, the infected individual existing symptoms like swallow, coughing, unable to sit without support, incontinence, lose the ability to speak, or become unresponsive to their surroundings. And then they'll often get ulcerated wounds that can get infected, and the person usually will die within a few months of that. But I mean, if we look at it, Hillary Clinton's experiencing every single one of those symptoms. Here's the thing: is you might say, well, she's not peeing on herself. Well, isn't that what that bag is? Isn't that a bag that
they found strapped
because she's
to her leg
incontinent, she's got a bag?
Yeah. It's called a walking catheter.
And we know that she's been accused of this spirit cooking, or AKA cannibalism.
And we know through what's his name with the raspy voice, the one that was working with the Clintons for a long time, and he turned around and told her she needed to find Jesus, and she turned around and flipped around on him and gave him the dirty eye and said, "Don't you ever say that word around me again." And he said, "You can't tell somebody that you go to a coven of witches. If they find that out, they'll crucify you. This is not a country that you can do that in." And she said, "Don't you ever mention Jesus' name again, that name in front of me again." And she said, "What I do is is my own business, and no one will ever know what I do." Now that was Larry Nichols that quoted that. Said that I stopped and I said it to her, and she spun around and snapped back at me like the snake she was, and she started telling me, "You don't talk to me like that. You don't tell me." And he said that was it. And he said, "I told her that if they ever found out what you're into with this, that you'll go down forever." And well, she's still around, even though she looked pretty miserable, weak, failing, and everything else. And I love how she just popped back up in that Ultra HD video that looked like it was shot by a professional director. Did you see that last one?
Yeah.
The last one looked like it was CGI to me.
Yeah, well, there's still something up with that woman. I don't know what it is, but something.
Oh yeah. But so this is where we've come, people. We've got Trump fighting for what he's doing to try and fix a lot of the problems, and I do see that he's fixing a lot of it. He's got his hand out there trying to make something better. This whole bullshit with Jeff Sessions and all of this stuff where they've been trying to hang him, they didn't even get a chance for the man to get in office to do anything because they know that he's going to bury these pedophiles. Okay? They've been stalking Trump this whole time, trying to get anything they can get on him. And one thing I can say so far, they haven't managed to land a single decent blow that means anything. So far, the man's been squeaky enough clean, they haven't had anything on him. Because if they did, they would have already had him staked to the cross and have a spear through his side. And all I'm saying, right now at this point in the game, he's fighting a good fight. At least I see some kind of meaning on the other side. What I do see with all of this is that they're screaming bloody murder. Chuck Schumer, and then we've got all the traitors that are on the Republican side that are showing their true colors, like Lindsey Graham and like John McCain. And then we see Barack Obama's coming out of hiding, and he's going to start a $30 million campaign to go against Trump. They're going against him because they know that when this all comes out, when the spirit cooking really falls out and the bodies start rolling out, when the shit starts hitting the fan, and they start proving that these pedophiles are cannibals, and all this other stuff starts unraveling, and if they're not cannibals, if they're just pedophiles, if they're kidnappers, if they're murderers, if whatever they're doing with these kids, they're doing, and we prove it 100%, it's on like Donkey Kong. And right now the numbers from WikiLeaks are saying it's going to be extensive, and they've only released 1% of the new information that they have.
That's right.
So at this point, we're going to get to the end of the rubber room here. We're going to call it a day, but I wanted to thank you for coming on. I wanted to tell you, when we were talking, I had to get on and do a show. I had to put this out there because if there is a possibility, there's more people that know about it. And if this is going on, there's more people that have witnessed it. And if this is going on, we need more people to speak about it. Because if this is happening, this is the sickest shit, lowest form of human being that is running our government and is in charge of our power structure. And we have to bring this to a stop. This has to end. And so I shout out to everyone that is listening to our show, everyone that hangs with us. We talk about the asylum because this is a crazy place to be. And right now, this is a crazy time to live in. And we were more advanced and more technical than we ever have. And you have the power in front of you to save your kids, to talk to people, to fix this, and help find these people, root them out, show them for what they are, and prosecute them to the full extent of the law. And this is what's coming to this country. We have to stop it. And if we continue to let the mayhem go on and the mainstream media pump in the flicker rate, we're all going to end up on somebody's dinner plate.
I don't know about you, but I don't look good with an apple in my mouth.
I wouldn't either. But I'm sure someone out there would love to take a bite out of me for no reason.
You got that right. You and me both, my friend. You and me both.
Lori, thank you. Tell us where we can find you. I know you've had a little bit of shit going on with all this, but you know what? You have been a beacon of light in the cold dark. You are always willing to put the story. You are always willing to vet the truth. You're always willing to go out and look. And you know what? We're not perfect. We don't claim to be. We make mistakes, and we tell what's coming out of our heart. When we can't prove it, we try and at least inform you. And so tell us where we can reach you, because I think you've been doing a great job. And all these shills that are trying to cause problems, don't let them get you down, because they know if they do, they take you out of your game. You're good at what you do. And you got me back at a kick in the ass when I needed it. And right now, I support you, and I'm telling you, you do good work.
Thank you. Yeah, I haven't been on much. I'm just not feeling it, guys. I'm just really not. But you can find me at the Underground Resistance Network backup channel. That's where we're having to do our live stream. But go over to the Underground Resistance Network and subscribe to us there. We're still putting videos up. We're still putting live streams up over there. We're just having to do it on our backup channel. I am going to be taking a break here in the next 2 weeks. I start my new job on March 20th. I do work a swing schedule, mornings and afternoons, and then I have every third Saturday I have to work. So, but I'll be coming back. I'm just taking a little break right now, trying to get things situated. I just got my desk today, by the way. So Dave's putting together my beautiful desk just came. So I'm getting my office all ready. I just cleaned out the spare bedroom, and we're putting that up. It's going to probably hopefully be up tomorrow. I'm getting the computer up, getting my files. I'll have a place now where I can take my show notes and actually file them away. So if I need them in the future, I can just get them out of my file cabinet. So, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Maybe once I get the rest of the furniture in the office, I'll get that spark again. But for right now, I just kind of don't have it.
Well, I know after the couple of storms that you had to deal with, and the up and down roller coaster with the last show, not your show, but the other show, and with.
I've been spending a lot of time in the basement the last couple weeks. Yeah, we've had some crazy weather here.
So I just know that you've been through a lot, and we all appreciate you being here. We read your articles every day, and we love your work. So just
you and Chris, with all of my heart. You guys are my besties, and I so appreciate you guys. I see there's Doc's in the room. Another one of my besties is in your chat room tonight, Doc. You guys just give me so much inspiration, and I love talking with you guys, even if it's just personal and it's not even about business. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys on the phone.
Well, and your work and your stuff has inspired me to do more on the show and to actually build an asylum. So
good. Maybe I can pass that fire on to you, and I can retire finally.
No, we don't want you to retire. Please do. The fire's here. And in fact, you know, we've got a young guy out there doing some stuff. Adam, I'll shout out to you. Eric.
Yes, Adam is doing a fantastic. If you guys haven't checked out Adam's channel, the kid's pimping, guys. He's making us look bad here.
But we've got that. We've got Jeff Hayes, our in-house book writer, who does some great stuff. Everybody check out Jeff Hayes' books.
With him, he was online. I've been chatting with him while we've been talking tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Robbie D's still around. He's building our channel. Our Underground Resistance Network Facebook page is growing. We're over 2,000. He's doing such a good job over there.
That's awesome. We've got Eric Spitfire and Roberto Garzez, or however he says it. And Roberto's awesome. And I
can't roll my R's.
Yeah, whatever he does. So that and peanut butter jelly time.
Peanut butter jelly time.
We do a shout out to the Sentinels of Truth and Eric Spitfire, Wilkinson, and to all the guys that help us, to all the crew that has been here through the long term. We've had a lot of shills come and go. We've uncovered a lot of mysteries and a lot of things, and sometimes it'll get on your nerves and you need a break for a little bit. So I get where you're coming from. We hope that you don't stay gone too long. And we're gonna keep fighting a good fight. We're gonna wrap this up and thank you to all the listeners, everybody. We're growing. We're starting to get 100, 150 views, 200, 300 views on our channel. We're growing.
You're killing it, my friend. You're killing it. There you go.
I just want to get some more viewers, but I know that it's going to take time. And I know that lately we've had a lot of technical difficulties and the content has been rough because after Trump got elected, I kind of wanted to give this 100 days and let things go. See where they kind of fell out and see where everything kind of landed a little bit. And I see a lot of good. Man, I've seen mandate drops and a whole bunch of stuff. I've seen Trump step out against the media. I've seen him fight against these libtards. I call him out. He calls him out on Twitter. I love what he's doing, okay? He's going to be probably, if they don't drag him down, and if this stuff keeps leaking out with WikiLeaks and we keep this moving, he'll probably be one of the best presidents we've ever had. But there's always the mistake. There's always, I could be wrong. You know what I'm saying? All I know is I don't second guess it right now. All I'm doing is going forward and knowing that he's fighting the fight with us right now, and we're trying to make it. And so I thank you, and I thank everybody else out there. And I want to tell you, God bless Donald Trump, and I hope he does great for this country because that's what we need. That's what this country deserves. But we also have a lot of animosity and a lot of weird shit going on, and we all have to stand up for that. We all have to be accountable for that. You know, this didn't
both the other atrocities that are going on, like Pizzagate. We're not going to let that die either. So
no, we're not. No, we're not. And any place where injustice in the world is going after kids, I'm going to be a part of it and say, hey, man, it's got to stop. You know, we've got to put an end to this. And we can feed a whole lot of people in foreign countries. And I say, look, we've got kids to feed here. We've got a whole lot of stuff. Stop being so generous everywhere else. But when you start murdering, killing, and eating and doing weird shit with kids, that shit's just not hurt. It's it. No more. And it's everybody's responsibility to police the person next to them, at least to this extent. You know, I don't want a bunch of eavesdropping cameras looking at us, and every time you turn around, your cell phone's spying on you, whatever the hell is going on. People go, well, I don't have anything to hide. Yeah, but you know what? They don't have the right to do this to us either. Somewhere in the midst of all this, you have to stop it. And this is our time that we have to get everybody to understand we are going to be violated every way, shape, or form and end up on somebody's dinner table as cattle if we don't stop this now. Lori, thank you to all my listeners and everybody out there in the Asylum News Network. This is it. We're out.